On this special episode of the Absolutely Geek podcast, the first live podcast, we're here talking Shang-Chi with Toshi and Mari. What is good, though?
Hey.
Heyo.
Heyo.
We up in this B.
Yo, what's
Stoked.
good?
What's good?
Man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk. I had hit Mari up right after I saw the movie when it launched here, and I was like, yo, have you seen it? Because Mari, you always see stuff early. So I was like, oh yeah, Mari's seen this already.
I don't live in LA anymore, dude.
I know. I was like, damn. I was like, all right, Mari's seen it. And then you're like, I haven't seen it yet. I was like, I heard like the Hello Darkness, my elf, like it just played.
Yo,
I
yeah.
was
It's
like,
oh
no.
man, the FOMO has begun.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. It would have been the reverse if I was still living in LA. I would have been like, hey, have you seen it? And this would have
Yeah.
been like a week and a half ago. And you're like, no, I
Right,
haven't seen
correct.
it. Like,
Yeah.
too bad.
But see, that was the thing, right? Because I was like, oh, she had to have seen it already. I was like, I know she gets the invite. So I was like, okay.
This is the equivalency of.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But
But now,
Toshi
though-
got the experience. Toshi got the experience.
Yeah, I got the
Oh
full
yeah.
experience.
Tell us about the experience.
I mean, I always go to big premieres at the Chinese theater. So no matter, and what's crazy is the last thing I seen at the Chinese theater might have been the previous Spider-Man movie.
When I went with you,
Yeah,
me, you, and Mike went.
before COVID. Yeah, like what was
Yeah.
that?
Before the world ended.
That was 2019, I think, actually.
Was 2019?
Like the end of 2019, because it was around his birthday, right?
Yeah, because we went for mine and his
So-
birthday. Yep.
So, bro, yeah, and I haven't been there so long, bro. But just that movie theater experience on a big action film like this, you
Yeah.
have to get that. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna watch this streaming for sure, but yeah, man, got to the Chinese theater and it was real crazy, man. Didn't expect. So I just bought tickets off Fandango like I usually
Right.
do, and 7 p.m. time for Friday actually. So it dropped Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
So I went the actual Friday, and I was walking up to the theater, and I saw this dude with a mask on. Everybody's got a mask on, but he had like a tiny crowd around him, not too many. And I was like, I was jokingly saying, oh, there go the main character right there. And then I double took, and I was like, wait, that's really him. I was like, wait, that's really him. He was there. And then I seen this dude walk past me, and people were really trying to take selfies with him. And I just saw like kind of the profile, and I was like, yo, who is that guy? So we get into the theater, settle in. And next thing you know, somebody pulls up, and usually they do announcements before the show in Chinese theater. And but they announce, obviously, the GOAT himself, motherfucking Kevin Feige, pulls up, and we were all in the theater. Everybody in the theater just exploded. The whole theater
Yep.
was like, "What?"
Facts.
Like,
That's
what are
so
you doing here?
cool.
And he introduced an executive producer, and then one of the writers were on a FaceTime call with the producer, and they came out, and then all of a sudden they introduced Shang-Chi himself
Samuel.
and his sister in the movie,
That's awesome.
and they both were there, and it was cool. They both, they just made a few
Hell yeah.
jokes, hyped us up, and that just got us extra hype for the show. People in the theater were like, if you were kind of chill in the theater after that, everybody was like, ah.
Right.
The whole theater was like rumbling, bro. It was so dope. Like that's a full like real like experience, like
Yeah.
where the theater is involved in the movie, and it's not just everybody sitting there quiet, and giggling
Yep.
from time to time. Like no, like people are all in.
That is the
And-
best movie experience when people
Right?
are hype and it's like, you're
Yes.
gonna watch it again. So if somebody is just like losing their minds at some
Right.
point,
it just adds to it.
I
Yeah.
love
Not like,
it.
shh. You're just like, oh my God, people are hype.
Yeah.
I can be hype about it. I can be loud about it. It's the best.
Yeah.
Facts.
It's almost like I think people that you get not anxiety, but you're nervous of like just being you about what you're watching. So like a lot of times people are like, oh, well, I don't want to get too loud. I don't want to disturb other people's experiences. But if everybody's hype, you're just kind of like, let's go. Like there's something about that feeling of just being able to express how you feel about it in the moment.
Right.
I miss LA launches. Like I miss LA premieres. Like there's something about that experience that is like movies are made in LA, so like people are excited about that stuff.
That's,
you know, so
exactly. That the people that are actually going to the movies are majority, like especially premiere days like that. They're gonna be like movie buffs and people that are truly into it.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, like you said, you get that whole experience, man. It was a good time, man.
Yeah. I was telling Adonis this yesterday, but like I miss those premieres, and one of the premieres that really sticks in my mind is watching a Star Wars film with Kevin Smith right in front, and absolutely he's losing his shit. And at one point he's like, "That's how you make a fucking Star Wars movie," and he yells at the whole TCL theater hears it, and it's like, and then everyone just goes bananas, you know. And it's just like sometimes it just takes one person to break that ice, but once somebody does, it's just like it's like fire. Everybody's so hyped about it.
Oh,
for sure.
That's so good. So okay, so initial thoughts on we're gonna get into like the whole nitty gritty of everything, but like initial thoughts, Tosh, like you getting out of the theater, what was like your initial?
I wanted to fight somebody. I feel like that's what action films should make you feel. Like I was ready to whoop somebody, like just like, all right, if somebody pulls up on me right now, I'm about to do all these type of moves, like you just got that fighting spirit after the fact. Like it just gives you that energy of like, oh, like, you know, any other fighting films. It was a good martial arts film. Like set aside the Marvel part, just the martial arts aspect of it, it was top tier. And that's what I think stood out the most for me. Like regardless if it was, you know, Marvel, like I said, the top tier martial arts film. So even if it wasn't a Shang-Chi movie, it would have been still a fire movie to watch, you know. And that was like my initial, like I was like, oh, the martial arts in this. I'm a martial arts film guy, so that's the wave right there. I loved it. Sheesh.
Mari, how about you? Like you get out. So was this like your first movie experience in Vegas? Like
first movie experience in Vegas, first movie experience since quarantine.
What theater did you go to? Which theater did you watch it in?
I went to an AMC with Dolby. Dude, Dolby.
The one in Town Square?
Yeah, that
Yes.
one. Yeah.
That's
so
the
first time I watched it, it was with Dolby, and then last night I watched it without Dolby, and I'm like,
it's a major difference.
Dude, I've never been like an audiophile ever in my life, but because I have been away from a movie theater for a year and a half, at first I was like, is this anxiety? Why am I feeling it in my chest? Like I was like, it's rumbling in my chest, and I was like, oh no, that's just the audio. Okay, everything's just very loud. I'm okay. But as soon as things settled down, I was like, oh, Dolby's the way to go. I can't not now. Initial thoughts. The first thing I said when I walked out was, I was not expecting a kaiju fight. Like that was like a better kaiju fight. And I know they're not kaiju. I know it's different. Yeah.
Correct. But size-wise,
I wasn't expecting that. I'm like, that was a better kaiju fight than anything we've seen in the entire like Godzilla films that we've seen until maybe Godzilla versus Kong. But until then, I'm like, this is way bigger. And way more interesting of a fight than what we have gotten. So I was very surprised about that. On a total emotional level, like I find myself getting weepy at places that you're not supposed to be weepy. It has nothing to do with the what's going on screen, but the fact that this movie exists in our lifetime and it's this big with all the things that go along with it, from culture to everything. Absolutely. I was getting like holy shit vibes all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I think I could second that. You and Toshi's feeling as well, because like, and I think that's why I wanted to talk to you guys as well. Like, all of us have some Asian background. You know what I'm saying? Like Toshi's Toshi has Asian ancestry and, you know, family in Japan. I'm half Filipino. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mari's Mari. So it's like, okay. So for me, I was like, I think when I was watching this, it was that same feeling that I got when I watched Black Panther, where you felt like everybody that was on set was focused on making this mean something more than it just being a cool movie. It felt like everybody was dialed in, like, okay, like we want to make this a standout film for, you know, exactly, like a statement. And I was the same. Like, I'm watching certain moments and I'm like, yo, like, this is actually for real. Like, we're watching an Asian-led, primarily Asian main cast film that's a blockbuster. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? I was like, this is crazy. Like, it's so wild. And it was the same feeling that I got when I watched Black Panther. And to be honest, it was a similar feeling that I got when I was watching Thor. What was the last Thor?
Ragnarok?
What was it called? Yes, Ragnarok. Because Ragnarok, the majority of the people in that film were Australian and Kiwi. So being here in Australia, you had all these you like comedic, you know, lines and stuff like that were actually, you know, coming from Australia. So like a lot of the banter and stuff was Australian banter. So people here had that same like camaraderie around the movie. So it was just a dope feeling watching this movie. I was like, oh, this is fire. But I came out and I was just like, I did a story. As soon as I got out, I was like, guys, best solo Marvel movie, period. That's just, it is what it is. Like this is my favorite solo Marvel movie. I was just extremely hyped about it.
Not alone in that feeling. I have seen it all over the internet, and like, you know, people who are like unbiasedly, this is the best standalone MCU movie, and I think that, you know, it's shattering records right now. I think that people are talking about it from that cultural perspective and what it means from a personal perspective in the sense of being seen and feeling seen. And then just seeing it from the perspective of how is this as an action movie? How is it as an MCU movie? How is it as a superhero movie? And all around, I think that it is getting the high scores and praises that it deserves.
It's so cool. Yes. Like I was just excited. I was like, damn, like the cool thing with Rotten Tomato right now is you have to verify if you've seen a movie with a ticket. So prior, you could just go on and spam a review as a viewer, right? But now you have to show proof that you've seen it with the ticket purchase, right? So
Seems like they should have done that from the start.
Right? Where it's like people review bombing movies, or, you know what I'm saying, or their biases towards other actors. But seeing it sit at like 98% for audience score, I was like, wow, like that's, to me, that's more indicative of enjoyment than the critics. Critics see so many movies to where it's like they are experts in viewing stuff, so they're nitpicking stuff. They've seen so many stories being told, so it's a little different. But when you're a regular viewer and you see, you know, 2 or 3 movies a year versus 2 or 3 movies a week, it's like, did you enjoy this? Did you not? And it's just cool to see like the masses really taking to the film.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yes.
Agreed.
Yep. Same. Yeah, that's because what is the last big Asian film? Crazy Rich Asians?
Yeah, I love that movie too. That movie was so fun.
But I mean, like, I think I'm just thinking like that was like the last like huge Asian film that made a you know, scene, and this is years later.
Featuring Michelle Yeoh again, you know.
Yeah, of course.
As you do.
I mean, she's the GOAT. She's literally the GOAT. Yeah. Come on. Awesome, bro. Every time you see her, you're just like, oof.
You're like, damn, like, something's about to go down. You know,
I love it.
Bro, but you know, you're going to learn something.
You're going to learn something for sure. You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn something. Yeah. Every time you see her on the screen, you're like, oh, she about to teach somebody something, bro. Like, she just has that wisdom.
I also don't know. I don't know what her skincare routine is, but my God, she looks amazing. Like, she's not
Asian, don't raisin
at all.
Nope.
Insane.
How old is she? Does anybody know?
No, but I can look at that.
I wonder, because I just know that, you know, we know that when Asians hit a certain age,
it's like everything catches up like at one age. I don't know what happens. All of my Asian relatives, like at a certain age, all the age catches him.
You become old,
what?
Out of nowhere.
You immediately
they're like 30
Yoda.
forever, and then there's a certain age they hit, and it's like it just all plays catch up.
She's 59.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice.
Dude, and I don't know how much of like the martial arts in that she was doing. It looked like she did everything. But gosh, she's amazing.
I mean, yeah, she looks amazing for her age, for sure, and healthy. Awesome. And I mean, I'm pretty sure she's been in the martial arts space for so many years. I'm pretty sure she's probably upkeeping all of that and the training they probably had to go through for the movie, because the styles isn't a specific style that they use either. Like, it's just they just created a style of a mix of all types of.
Right.
Was that right?
Yeah. Like, there's no specific style. Like, it's not like, oh, that's this or that's that style. When they're using just techniques from these styles. So they kind of pulled like, all right, I'm gonna do wushu here and this here and this here, but it's not an actual legit style. That's pretty interesting that they put it together like that. But that's why you get such good martial arts fight scenes, is because it's not put in a box. It wasn't put in a box. And obviously the choreographer, the guy who was running things, RP, he was also the GOAT at what he was doing too. So the scenes just mind blowing.
Can we talk about the scenes real quick? Because this, as soon as I got out of it, because I wasn't really knowledgeable on the choreographer until after. I was like, who did this? I was like, because it felt so Jackie Chan inspired. When I watched it, I was like there was a scene, like the bus scene, crazy. Like that just felt like it had like this Rumble in the Bronx vibes to me. I don't know what it was about it. And then
the close quarter stuff that reminds me of like the Raid, right? Like and I think that we have craved that close quarter stuff since everyone has seen the Raid, because we're like, what the hell was that? Daredevil did it right after. Like everyone started to want to do it, but the bus scene, I think they were able to take that and then make it even more interesting. The moment where the camera is outside of the bus and it follows the bus as it moves along. It's so beautiful.
Nice.
So
nice.
well done.
Yeah.
Like was it in the tunnel, right? We're in the tunnel and like he's like knocking people out the windows and stuff. I was like, oh, this is sick.
That's just so that good. Environmentally fight. Like they use their environment rather than it being like just an open space and like, or trees and things in the woods. It's like you're using your entire environment to your disposal in a fight. Like, and that's the best. Like he's doing all these parkour moves. He's in and out the poles. Like you said, it's super Jackie Chan heavy because of who did the choreo. But that's the best part. Like, and especially when's the last time we seen a Jackie film? Right. You know, like we haven't had this type of fight scene in so long.
And somebody that could pull it off, like really like pull it off. Yeah. He was so confident, like Simu was so confident in movement, bro. I was like, holy crap. Like it didn't look like he was pulling punches. It just it looked so good. I was like,
he has a tiny martial arts background, right? Or is it a large martial arts background? I have
no knowledge.
He has martial arts background though. He does. But I'm not sure how extensive it is. And that was the thing. So I know he had a little bit, but I'm not sure how much it was. But I think that's why though, is that he was able to be like, oh, okay, I got a little martial arts experience. I understand movement. But just being that daring though, trying to be able to try all that stuff, super fire like that. Yeah.
There's so much behind the scenes too. And it's really fun to see that they do long chunks of choreo as opposed to
short bursts.
Yeah, short ones. And I think that's the big difference, right? Like that is the biggest difference with Jackie Chan movies is that you see the like a seamless fight, and then when the impact hits, that's when it cuts in. But it isn't every hit that happens, and it's not that choppy. And which is the reason why you can see something from like a wide shot and you can see a good amount of it. The neon scene with the masked guy, that was a beautiful scene because it was
the silhouette,
the silhouette, and you can see all
Matrix
of it happen.
vibes almost though.
Oh, bruh.
I'm pretty sure the masked guy was maybe the guy from Martial Club. I think it's him.
Marshall Club. What's that?
Yeah, Marshall Club is it's like I think they're brothers. I think it's two brothers and a team of them out in LA. But they're also like part of like the Jackie Chan stunt team. And so like they've learned from them. And so they really keep to like old school stunt traditions. But I'm pretty sure it's him. I gotta look this up though.
Ooh, yeah, let me know.
That was a good scene though.
It was a really
Urban
good
Reaper
scene.
said, yeah, he is from Marshall Club.
Oh,
That's
yeah? Okay.
Dope.
All right. Thanks for doing that research there.
I mean, that was the thing for me, like so that skyscraper sequence had like it felt like you had a callback to Rush Hour 2 with them fighting on the scaffolding and then obviously Awkwafina's character, you know, pulling the Jackie Chan where she's kind of like falling on the bamboo. Like there was some callbacks, at least for me. That's what I referenced when I saw it. I was like, oh, this reminds me of Rush Hour 2. But then you had this silhouette sequence in the skyscraper that for me gave me some vibes of like Empire Strikes Back, Luke versus Vader. Like that's what it felt like. Even though it wasn't his father, there was like a vibe to it that I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Like this had like this really cool beauty to it. And then it just like how they shot it. It felt so fast. Like I don't know exactly what techniques is. I'm pretty sure Jeremy was like he's probably when he watches it because I'm so excited to have him watch it.
He's gonna
because I'm gonna be like
so much.
I can't wait to talk to Jeremy about this. But just some of the techniques that they were using, I was like, oh my god, this is so dope. It just felt so visceral. Even like with the kunai, like and them catching it and like
catching it, yes,
cold
midair.
Cold. I was like, oh. Like I was watching it with Emilio too. Emilio's martial arts heavy too, but we both were like, every time something super dope martial arts happened, we would look over like, oh, like, yo, I didn't expect that. Like, it was just unexpected fire, you know. And I mean, but usually when I go see a Marvel movie, you don't really hold expectations to it. You know, you just kind of got to take it for what it is, and. Because I didn't want to put it too high. Adonis was hyping it up before I went, and I was like, let me calm down. Let me calm down. Because I don't want to put my expectations too high. I was like, let me chill out. No, I keep seeing people talk about how good it is, but I'm like, you know what? Let me see it for myself. Right. But yeah, like, oh man, the hand-to-hand combat, that with the weapons. Like I said, environmental stuff, man, just using the 3D world around you. Oof. So fire.
The so that was the thing that I liked a lot about it too, was how it even like the sister. Okay, time out. Time out. She has so much sauce, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
Dude.
When they fought for the first time, like I was like, yo, she's crazy with it. Like,
did you call it?
What? Yeah. As soon as she popped up, I was like, it's his sister. I was like, I knew it immediately.
I called it before they even opened the gates. Like right when he was like, oh, I'm fighting in there, I was like, oh, he's gonna fight his sister. Like right like I knew instantly, bro. Cause I was like, why did he get a postcard for one? But I thought it was from his sister at the time. So I thought his sister just wanted to whoop his ass. So that's why I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna fight his sister. But then obviously we find out, you know, there's a setup. It's all a setup. Okie doke after okie doke.
Okie doke, bro. You got Eisen. But yeah, she was such a badass, bro.
It's
like
so good. And I the second time I watched it, I kept trying to figure out if it was CGI or not. But when they're in Talo and she's using her weapon and there's the bamboo sticks all around her, and it's like falling down.
For sure.
I can't, and it's like a 360 shot from a bird's eye view. I'm like, was she really using it, or was it CGI? Because it's so perfect. It looks so pretty.
It looks so good.
I think badass. The actual movements, the scene is real for sure, but the cutting of the bamboo, they probably put those in. You know what I'm saying? So like she's trying to, she like, you know, they're doing her form and she's doing the targets, but then they'll CGI the bamboo in there being for sure, because that's, I mean, in reality, cutting, it's bamboo, and really taking a weapon and slicing through it. But
using the weapon though, I mean, that's not an easy thing to master at all.
No. But I mean, you know, that's that movie training right there. That's that movie training. That's that, and I don't know her martial arts background either.
I don't know either, but I saw a BTS fight between her and Simu, and she looked amazing. I thought she was like a stunt person fighting with him for a scene, but then it was actually her.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, just good gosh.
Like when she KOs him, her stance after that stance, I was like,
sauce.
I was like, oh, she's saucy with it. I was like, oh no, like it was so much confidence. I was like, oh.
She didn't even say hi, bro. She pulled up and just ran at him. She just ran at him. The door opened and she was like, I'm taking off. That's called on site.
Smoke. On site.
That's called on site. That's literally the definition of on site. When I see you, you catching these hands.
Yep. And that was another thing that I really enjoyed. I love when things aren't super linear. Like, even though it was definitely a linear story, but how they jump and tell certain parts of what happened in the past, like how they're referencing past events, I loved in the film. And it was like one of those things that I always like in anime, actually, of them getting to a part and then in that moment referencing something that actually contributes to the scene itself, not just a previous flashback, right? And even in that sequence, like she's walking away and then remembers, like you get this whole moment of them sitting down, him talking about, I'll be back after 3 weeks, you know, blah, blah.
Days.
And, you know, and then, 3 days. And then she turns around and was like, you a bitch for that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, like, I loved it, bro. Like, it's so good.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead, Tosh.
No. I was just, go ahead. You good.
Okay. I was going to say the family dynamics between brother and sister, and then all of the daddy issues, right? Like, I think James Gunn has been one of the best directors to introduce that people have parental issues. No, whether we're talking like Suicide Squad and Polka Dot Man and his mother, or you know, like all the other previous films with like, they're usually daddy issues. But like, I think that the lens of family dynamics and problems in Shang-Chi is like, it's seen from an Asian perspective. And that has always been the huge disconnect for me when there's parental drama of like, well, there's a certain place that you do not cross with a parent, and unless you want to die.
Especially Asian parent,
yeah, right? Like with and it's like, that's not always seen. And I have to say, now that I'm looking for monologues and stuff for my acting classes, a lot of it is seen from a white perspective.
Yeah.
And you go to that place of, I hate you and stuff like that, like when you're a teenager, but you do not do that in an Asian residence.
No.
Unless you want to die. And it's like, you don't see Shang-Chi getting there with his father until he's ready to either kill him or to die at the end.
Yeah.
And that's the first time he blows up and is like head to head, you know? And it's like, I don't know. It's really, really beautiful to finally see that from that perspective. Even the sister saying, you know, just keep your mouth shut and he'll forget that you're there. There was so much context there of like, well, that's, I don't know. I think that can be seen from a very different perspective, having a Caucasian actor saying that versus a Chinese household, an Asian household.
Absolutely. That plays in a factor. I just saw an interview with Jaleel White from Steve Urkel.
Family Matters.
Yeah. And he was talking about how the first 12 episodes, he wasn't on the show, right? He wasn't on the show for the first 12. The first season, he missed first season. He wasn't casted yet. And he watched first season and he remembers thinking to himself how trash first season was. He said it wasn't funny at all. He's like, why? Because it's an entirely black cast and it's literally white writers. And he's like, so none of the jokes are hitting. Like, it doesn't make sense to black people. So he said when he got in there, his character was basically a black guy that was acting like a white guy, essentially, like a super nerdy. So when the jokes, so when he was doing like the over the top nerdy, he was pulling from like these white comedians and just that realm. And he was like, it doesn't, and it was more of like making fun of, and that's why it was kind of funny rather than it, because like you said, in with all white writers, just the reality is you're not going to know the lifestyle of black people. You're not going to know the lifestyle of any other culture.
But the writers could write for Steve now.
Exactly. So it's just, it was just that type of hit or miss, you know, and you can't, and like you were saying, like that makes such a big difference in any movie, any show, series, anything, is if you can't get that message out to be relatable to the people that are watching it, especially if it's majority certain ethnicity, then it's not gonna hit. And like you were saying, Mari, like Perfect, it definitely hit a lot of those like I said, more relatable for the Asian community, right?
Yeah. Like, it's the context behind it, right? Even just like, when are you gonna marry her? And it's like, you know, the way that it's said is culturally, you know, that's not the first time he's heard that.
Correct.
Yes. And culturally, you know that it means you're getting old, and so is she. You need to start this family, you know? And it's like, there's a lot of context behind it. And I don't know, I think that is something that is said in every culture, probably, but there's something that hits differently when you know that it's, when the people saying it resemble the people that you know in your life.
Right. Yeah. I got that whole scene. That scene was cool. A little quick little home at the crib. He's just literally her best friend at this time. He's been there forever. You could see it. It's cool. Like, he's cool with the family. Little bros is like, bro, you just eating everything all the time. Like, you're not gonna, but you know, being Asian moms and Asian parents, they always feeding everybody, right? Like, I regardless if you still hungry, if you ate 10 minutes ago, they still gonna ask you, are you hungry? Like, that's just how it is. Like, it's crazy, but all of it, like you were saying, is just mad relatable to that side and that culture. And yeah, super fire, bro.
Yeah, bro.
What I was gonna, go ahead.
You said,
no, you think, no, keep talking.
No,
about
you're
this.
good. You're good.
I was gonna switch up, but T talking about this.
Well, that was the thing that I had noticed about the thing that I like about certain movies like this is there are certain stereotypes that are real. Like even like in Black community, like there's certain things that we do that are just real. They're just real stereotypes. Like every community has their stereotypical things, right? And in this, it was that family dynamic that, you know, I grew up around, whether it be in Black households or Asian households, that I could be like, I know exactly what that is. Like, you know, because you've experienced it, right? Or even like the karaoke bar, like that is, I mean, Toshi, you know, like we've been in that, like, heavy, you know what I'm saying? Come on. Like, you're just kind of like, oh shit, yeah, that makes sense. They're going to karaoke.
Mari, if you want to go to karaoke, we got spots in Vegas for you.
Yes. Let's go.
So, like, there was just moments where I was like, I like the fact that they're showing these sides culturally, but also pointing out that, hey, you know what, like, yeah, we do this too. Like, yeah, like that's karaoke. Yep, that's us. Like. And it's poking fun at some things, and I like that. I like when cultures can laugh at themselves. I think it adds that level of humility of like, look, we all have our great moments and our funny moments, and it is what it is. And I enjoyed that thoroughly in it.
The airplane scene is a perfect example, right? Of the Shang-Chi, Sean to Shang-Chi, right?
Sean,
I think that Awkwafina's character Katie not being able to understand how to say Shang-Chi and then going back and forth is such a real thing for Asian Americans or, you know, like Asian blank, where there's a secondary language. There is some disconnect from your own culture, and that becomes a very more normal thing these days. And it's like, not every Asian person is the same is I think what they were trying to get to. And I love that scene. Like all the action scenes and everything, great. that airplane scene was one of the more real scenes for me, where it's just like, yeah. Just because you're Asian, doesn't necessarily mean you speak the language even, right? Like Katie she understands Chinese, she doesn't speak it.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
And that's so real for
Yes.
people.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Not always black and white.
Yes, I agree with that. All the scenes where they point out the realities of what's happening, I love that, because when movies don't do stuff like that, to me it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, y'all are just making the dumbest decisions. Like, you're telling me that nobody thought, like, really, like she's like, wait, y'all going towards that noise?
Right.
Like, you know, like, it's little things like that. In reality, somebody's really gonna say that. Like, you know, like, you heard this crazy noise. It's like, wait a minute, you sure you want to go towards that noise? You know, and obviously he's Shang-Chi, whatever. They got the but in a actual, she's a normal person. Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm good. I'm good. What was that noise? I'm gonna mind my business and go the opposite way, because I don't want no trouble. But you know, just stuff like that. When they point out all that type of stuff, man, it just makes I think it just makes the movie more real. Also, like more realistic, man. Because when they pass up that type of opportunity, you know, it's just, like I said, it for me personally, it brings down a movie for me. I'd be like, really, did he really just do that? Like, there's no way.
And nobody cared.
Nobody said anything.
Nobody said anything. Yeah. Like there's like you need, I think in a mythical movie like this, or even in any of the superhero movies, you need the audience surrogate character. You need the how like where are we right now? Like, what's going on? Like, you need that, just so you feel like you're like, this world is real. It makes it believable. Like, oh snap, like you really are surprised about this. Like, when she saw him on the train, she was like, he's a regular guy. Like, he's not, like, why are you, like, look at him. And then he punches him. She's like, what? Like, where? Like, but her reaction felt, her reaction didn't feel comedic. It felt like a real question. Like, it didn't come off like a comedy thing. It felt like, yo, I've known you for 10 years. What's going on? And then even after after the bus, when they're in his room, and he's like, I gotta go. She was like, hold on, time out. You're like, hold on.
We're not going nowhere.
Like, what's going on, bro? Like, I've known you for all this time. You don't say nothing. And then she's like, well, I guess we'll talk about it on the plane. She was like, nah, bro, we're not done with this. Like, but it felt like you could tell she felt upset about it. It wasn't just like a comedic, like, whoa, you're cool. It was like, no, we need to finish this conversation.
Such a star. I think she was able to give so much range without pulling away from who that character is. And I mean, I think it really is her as well. Like, I'm pretty sure that the first time she stepped foot onto any set ever in Hollywood was Crazy Rich Asians. Like,
I believe it.
She has had a trajectory like this, and the entire time she is that wide-eyed person being like, how the hell am I right here?
Right.
But I'm going to work damn hard.
Yeah.
And she does, and you see it. And I think that she is such a believable character of, like you said, Toshi, bringing us all along, right? Because 99.99% of us would be her in that situation. We would be like, what is going on? Sorry. Like, all of us would be lost. And she plays that character so genuinely. And everything that she said was a hit. Every single line actually hit. She's comedically so good and really emotionally genuine too.
Yeah.
Like, the parts that hit where she was mad, disappointed, there for her friend, actually sorry, they were all there.
The mom moment was awesome to me. When she sat down at the table and she was about to eat, and she was like, on that note, like, it felt like I'm so tired of hearing you tell me this. Like, you could tell it was like a fed up moment of it, but she couldn't say what she really wanted to say. So she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave, because I'm gonna say something that's disrespect. I'm gonna cross that line, right?
Yeah.
So it was so good, so good.
I know she's comedic relief, but my gosh, they don't always hit, and she was so damn.
Yeah, and I think they were trying to shift her in this movie. You know, I think this was like her shift of being a comedic relief to actually taking on like more serious side of things. It was showing her range, you know, it showed way more of her range for sure. So rather than her just being funny, like we were saying, she's hitting all these other parts, which for her future, she's gonna be able to take on some fire roles in the future because of it now, rather than the comedic side, you know. And I think she'll be, even the future stuff we'll see her in, she'll have that comedy behind her, but I think she's still gonna be like, she'll be extra on her shit, you know. And I'm kind of excited to see. I'm kind of see where them two go in the future, you know.
I love that they didn't kiss or anything at the end.
Yo,
yes,
I said the same thing.
So glad,
yes.
even though I think like if it happened, I'm like, yeah, you know. But like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if she exists in the comics actually. So I don't know.
I have no idea. I haven't read any of the Shang-Chi
her character.
comics.
So I looked up Emergency Awesome. I was watching his whole 20-minute breakdown, but he did say that she is an actual character in the story.
Do they get together?
Yes, eventually. At one point, she was, but he doesn't know if they're gonna go that direction with this. You know, they just wanted to kind of set it up just in case, maybe. You know, for the future. So for us as fans, we could be like, okay, we could see it, or he could get with somebody else and they could still be best friends. Like, either way, it doesn't matter, you know. But her character is someone, and he was just saying also, because I was personally thought her character was something more from the way people were treating her, you know, like the old lady was just like, here, take these arrows, let's get it, like, come on, you know, like she's like, she never shot an arrow in her life, you know. And then first arrow she hits, and I was like, wait, like in my head I'm like, she has something more to her, you know, like as in like potential. But so I was thinking maybe she was going to be another type of Marvel character, but when I was watching his breakdown, he was saying that they were just she's just a normal person that, you know, the whole movie she's saying that she has no purpose, and then she ends up finding and that was her purpose. Like,
what was that line? If you aim at nothing,
you hit it every time.
You hit it if you aim at nothing, you miss every time.
No, if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. It's like that's what it's based off of, but I think it's
I think it's like, isn't it like if you aim at nothing, you hit nothing or something like that?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was when he said that. Yeah, when you aim at nothing, you hit nothing. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's a play on a quote. I keep forgetting who said the quote, but it's essentially if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time.
Yeah.
So like when I saw that, I was like, bar, like we're dropping bars.
Yeah,
like,
I said that out loud. I was like, bars.
Yeah.
I was like, nah.
I was like,
nobody else listening to this. I was like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't got a goal, you're not gonna hit nothing. Like,
it was so good. Like that. I love the arcs that they had for them. Like the arcs for them were so good. And even like obviously hers was that purpose, right? And then Sean's was a very like running away from who he was, right? The fear. Even his dad even said the same thing. Dude, you've been running your whole life, bro. Like, what you mean? You've been scared since jump.
He said, I gave you 10 years.
Bro, I gave you 10 years and you did nothing with it, bro. Like,
so,
I know where you've been at. You've done nothing in 10 years, bro. So
that was sauce.
He was like, bro, you don't think I know where my kids are, bro? What you mean? You know who I am? I'm one of them ones, bro. I was like, I'm one of them ones, bro. I know where my kids are, bro. So
it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your
like,
kids are?
Dad, I stayed in this country somehow for 10 years, enrolled in school with no parents. I did all that, which is, you know.
He finessed the system. Yeah, he swindled the system heavy for sure. Being
country for 10 years. You know, he doesn't have a social security card here, you know.
True.
Does he have insurance?
He
Let's get into the nitty gritty here.
He was getting it. He was getting it.
How did he get employed?
Resourceful kids, though. Resourceful. Yeah. Look, the daughter, she was like, look, she started a whole underground fight ring since she was what?
True.
16? And it was like, how? Yep. Wait, how? But that's his kids are his kids, though, because obviously he's who he is as a father, you know, or as just a man. Like, he was on next level shit.
Let's talk about Tony, bro, because that
yeesh,
he's legendary in this movie, bro.
Yeesh.
Like, already on top of his legendary status as an actor, right?
Is this his first time in a Hollywood movie?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Maybe though.
I hope it is his first of many.
Yes,
because
oh my god, like his character, I was so happy because it didn't go down the evil father route. Mm-hmm. It didn't go down like, it was like he had this hell-bent power for the longest. I want to be the top dude, and he even said that he was like, I went by different names in the past. Khan being one of them, which means like, so were you Genghis Khan, bro? Like, was that who you were in the past?
Yeah.
So I thought that was dope. But then he was like, I finally found something to grow old for. Mm-hmm. And like, so it was a love story. Like, then that was the dopest part, where it was like, he was like, I have everything, but I'm still longing for something else. Like, I don't know why, right? And I just thought that was dope. And then once he had it and it was taken away from him, it was grief. Like vengeful grief. Yeah. Like, I thought his arc was so dope.
Yeah. I think WandaVision was a very good example of loss being not only a really relatable theme, but something that drives most people to the edge, the absolute
good people.
Edge. Yeah, good people. Yeah, and this was this Shang-Chi is about loss, right? It is about how to move on from that and whether or not you can or cannot. And that was gripping at the end of the day. Like, gosh, I don't know if you side with him, but you really understand where he's coming from.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's had loss.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, like you were saying, you don't know if you really should side with him because of things he was doing, but like you were saying, you can understand.
Yeah.
Those are the best kinds of villains, right?
Yes.
When
absolutely.
You're like, when it forces you to question your own morality.
Mm-hmm. Right. He's not there to destroy the world or the universe. Like, he's not there because he's not evil. Like you're saying, he's literally just a loving man. Yeah, he was a loving man, a man in love, and that was literally his heart. And when it gets taken away, it's like, what do you do? And sense is just too tough to talk sense into a powerful man like that, specifically.
Dude, the fact that they were all always on the brink of tears, but wouldn't actually cry, that shit got me, because that is so real.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I'm like, I feel that, especially in front of your parents. You don't let it go, and your parent will not let it go in front of you either. But you know that it's like whatever glimmer trick that they have with cameras, right, with their lights and stuff like that, you see that glimmer happening in their eyes, but they won't fully let it go. Oof. I think that is such an Asian thing, that I'm glad that they weren't like, no, you need to like overly cry, right? Like, right. I feel like that's another thing that I loved in Ghost of Tsushima. They never, even at moments of loss, they don't embrace, because that is such a Western thing. If anything, the most that they would do is a hand on the shoulder. And that's like, that is all the affection and love you are going to get from the next of kin after you have lost somebody close. Just like, and you hold on to your loss and you figure that out. Right. But I think that felt so real, of like not having a big group family hug. You just don't.
Yeah.
Culture doesn't do that.
Right. Yeah.
It's not conducive to that.
But he was definitely,
he was so
strong antagonist, bro.
Yeah,
strong,
like
heavy.
Like, you could tell, like, there was moments of him, like when he shows up, obviously, in that awesome skyscraper sequence, stops his son from killing old boy.
Daddy moment.
And he literally gets daddied immediately. Daddied him, and then he walks up to him, grabs him by his head, like, but you could tell the fear. Like, he was like, oh shit, like, it was like a fear, respect, Like you could tell like Simu was going through a lot of emotions in that one sequence.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't upset. It wasn't just sad. It wasn't like you could tell he was super conflicted. Like, this is my dad. I love my dad.
Right.
But damn it, it's my dad. Fuck, it's my dad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and it's also like he's proud, right?
Yeah.
Like, he walks to him and he's like, I knew that none of my men could get through you. And there's a sense of pride and acceptance from your father that you're receiving after 10 years plus,
that
right? Like,
true.
And then it's like, is that the type of love that you want from your father? And then there's a sense of relief and fear. Yeah, you're so right. There's so much going on in that one embrace.
That bar was crazy when he was like, I told my men they couldn't kill you even if they wanted to. And I'm glad I wasn't disappointed, or I'm glad I was right, or something like that. And I was like, damn. I was like, okay.
Yeah. It's like you lived up to your father's expectations. That feels good. He also tried to kill you. You also don't know if he's going to stab you right then and there. But at the same time, being reunited with your father feels good. There's such polar opposite feelings in that one moment. Yeah,
that was powerful. It was so powerful.
It was powerful. I mean, every scene the father was in was heavy, I think, because he opened the movie crazy.
Yeah.
The opening scene, bro, him just walking forward, he was just like, he created the barrier just by whipping the rings in. But I was just like, oh, he's whipping up everybody by himself. It actually looked like a scene from Dynasty Warriors, the video game. That's what it reminded me of. And I was like, bro, I was like, this dude is crazy. And it's just the way they established him and his power, you know, of like how massive a power he is in this universe. Maybe not this universe, but this world, this earth that we're on. That he's actually nobody, like, he's somebody you should not be fucking with this whole time. So for him, like you were saying, that for the son to know all of that and he getting respect from his pops, and like, that was definitely an emotional part. The head to head, forehead touch.
Yeah. That like dichotomy of like toxic family and then the family you also want and need in your life. And then figuring out how to mash those two things together. And I think that's also like the dinner scene, right? With at the complex with the father. There's that tension of like, do we just act like a happy family? Part of me wants to be a happy family, and part of me knows that it's so toxic and gross and it could never be put together again. But I think that at any point in our lives, whether we're 8 years old or 48 years old, we still want a whole family. Like, there's just something, a part of us that wants that. And you can feel that struggle in that moment.
That dinner reminded me of the My Hero episode with Endeavor and all his kids.
Yes.
And then Bakugo and Midoriya was there too. But that attention of like, you know, your kids don't fuck with you, but you're just doing this, you know, to figure things out, you know, all right, we're having dinner, cool. But obviously that Pops is trying to mend things with his kids, and this Pops was like trying to use his kids, but other way.
But
around.
I think
the weirdest thing. Oh, go ahead.
I think that was the thing though for me, where I don't think he was trying to use his kids. I think like because he was being controlled or being manipulated by the monster from even from way back. Like, he was like, I heard about these secrets in Tal Lao. It's like, so this monster's been talking to you with the rings since thousands of years ago. That's the reason why you came across your wife in the first place. So when you put the rings back on, it started talking to you again. So I was like, okay, so now that he has this moment and he's like, well, you know, they're saying, it's telling me that, you know, my wife is here and I need to get these things to get there and blah. I don't think it was him using him. I think he really felt like, my wife is here, and this is how we get our family back, right? And I think it was this really like super focused like family thing for him, of him wanting to get his family back, because it was stripped from him. You know what I'm saying? He came home and wife was dead. You know, like, and scene was that. Yeah, he was like, no, bro, like, I want that back. So I feel like there was justification, but it didn't feel like he was using them to, at least not to me. I felt like it was more so of like, look,
He wants
he wanted to get
together.
his wife. Yeah.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
The moment where he starts talking about how the rings are talking to him and how concerned the kids are. It reminds me of like at any point when a child has to have the tough conversation with a parent who's starting to kind of lose it, right? And walking that very fine line of like not wanting to offend, but being like, I don't think that that's what's happening. That's not the reality. And then the parent being like, it is the reality. And just it was talking about something ethereal, but it still felt real.
Right.
Yes.
And you could tell even Simo holding his tears back in that moment. You're just like, he's like, Dad, like she's like, that's not what's happening right now. Like what, like,
right.
And having that conversation of like, at that moment, you're almost becoming the parent, like, like those roles reversing of like, I don't think this is really what's going on here. And you're trying to help them understand that, but they're just so hell-bent. Like, I know what's best. I know what's, and they're just like, oh, like that was rough.
Yeah,
that's super rough. I'm sorry, I just thought of, have you seen To Your Eternity? Mario, are you watching that?
I'm on episode 7 or 8. I just got hit with a copyright strike from it, so I have to watch it only on Patreon now.
Okay.
Anyways, continue.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, that show's so goddamn deep.
Yeah.
But that moment that you're talking about comes later on in that show, and it actually hit. Like, it hits. And I got that same feeling, like you were saying, like, yo, like that moment of, like you were saying, it's, I get it, Pops. Like, like you sound a little crazy, but I don't want to call you crazy. But, like you're mentally not stable. And, I love you to death. I need, we want to help you, but you got to help yourself at the same time. And if you don't want that help, then, I got to figure out another way to do it. And, obviously they're the extreme, like super extreme. I got to kill you then. But even just that ending moment with Pops and him just realizing all his mistakes and everything and just being like, look, use this time, like this is it for me.
Right.
I've done too much damage to come back from, and I know that I fucked up. And he's just like, I'm just gonna take responsibility for all this shit. I've been here for thousands of years. I don't have anything else to live for besides my kids, but now I'm seeing my kids are okay on their own. So you know what? Look, I'm gonna help y'all out one last time. Take this time. Here's the rings. I'm gonna eat it, and then y'all can keep it. Bro, that shit, I was like, oh man.
That scene was heavy, bro.
I'm getting teary-eyed with you talking about
it. Oh man, that was heavy. And
but it was all looks though. Like that was the powerful part about it. No dialogue. It was just the looks, and you knew exactly what was going on. And I was like,
maybe it forces us to have the conversation the way that makes sense for us, right?
Yeah.
Like how we would say it if there were words, because maybe the words that you put into the father's like expression, like the way that you might see it in your head, Toshi, is a little bit different from mine.
Yes, the interpretation. A little bit
different from Adonis, right?
Open
like, and I think maybe that's why it hits so hard. Because maybe we pull in from our own personal, ways that like our dad might say it, or somebody in our life might say it, our father figure in our life might say it.
Right.
Maybe it's in that language or this language. It's like there's so much there, but there's that history of like, I think every person, and especially every parent, wants to do their damn best.
Right.
And sometimes people are just people, and people are assholes. And people can't do it. But in that moment, that all the years are flashing by, and he just wishes that he could have done better. And you see that, and that's such a human feeling. It doesn't matter if you're 1,000 years old or 50. Like you just want to be as good as you possibly can to the people around you. And he's knowing in that moment that he did very few things right and a lot of things wrong. But he could write it in that moment. It's like, it's powerful.
Well, it was, for me, like when I saw that moment, like when it was going back to his flashbacks, because it started recent and it started going further and further back of him and his son's relationship. And it got back to him holding his baby. Like this is like, you're my son. At the end of the day, you're my son. Like, and to me, that's how I felt. I was like, he was remembering the the basics of, regardless of everything we've been through, you're still my son. At the end of the day. And for me, that was like, I was super heavy. Anytime I've like movies touch on that, those are things for me where I'm like, it pulls.
And especially for a father, you know, because usually the father's like the super protector, you know, like obviously moms are super protective as well, but you know, Pops is that defender, you know, that man that's supposed to. So like you were saying, when they went all the way back to the basics of, damn, this is my son, like I should be protecting my child right now. And that's what it came down to. Like, oh yeah, that shit is heavy.
That shit heavy.
Fuck.
That shit's so heavy, bro.
Yeah. It's the human moments in like extraordinary circumstances like that, right? There's a freaking like 1,000-year-old dragon and some beast that sucks up souls, but at the core of it, it's just a father and son story. Like, how beautiful is that?
But and that's something that I think Marvel has done since Phase 2 of taking genre movies and making them superhero movies. Right, with like the first one was Winter Soldier, which to me I think was, up until this point, was the best solo movie in my head as far as a film. But that was, you know, this suspense thriller type of a movie with Winter Soldier, and like the spy thriller vibe of that movie. But it was just, the main character was Captain America, like. And then from there, it was like every movie they had like some kind of genre to it, but the main character was a superhero. And in this one, it felt like this like drama / love story almost, but it felt like there was something about it that felt like a martial arts film. Like it just felt like something that you would have seen in martial arts, like just older martial arts cinema, just with better graphics.
Yeah, it's the third act is definitely like that is a like Chinese martial arts film, right? Like even just like the glossiness of it, the colors of it, it looks nothing like Act 1 or Act 2.
Right.
And so I think that even the pacing of Act 3 is very, very much not like a Hollywood film. I think it is more like Asian cinema. And the tone of it and everything. I think there's so many nuances that they didn't hold back on. The fact that like the first, I want to say like 10 minutes of an MCU movie was all in a different language was mind-blowing.
I was so excited. Excited.
2 minutes I could understand, right? 2 minutes and they're like, I don't think the audience can handle. But they gave us like the full story in a completely different language, and I was proud, dude.
Yeah.
I was super excited about it.
The first thing I thought about, I was like, damn, all the people that watch dubs right now are assed out. I was like,
exactly what I thought too. I was like, yo, we've been trained on this. Don't worry.
I was like, if you don't know how to read subtitles and watch something at the same time, your eyes are gonna be like, and you're gonna miss something up top. You're gonna miss something down low. I was like,
guys, you know what it is, right? It's being uncultured. That's
uncultured. Exactly. See, we big BCEs around here.
Hey. Facts. That was something. As soon as it popped up, I was like, "Oh, we got subs." I was like, "Oh." Yes. I was looking around. I was like, "Oh, y'all not ready." Y'all probably not ready.
A lot of the. I'm surprised that we didn't hear any more comments about that. Actually, I guess the movie turned out to be that good to where like the Western community isn't complaining about that,
Right.
because I feel like that would have been something somebody,
It'd be
just
easy
like,
it'd be an easy like low hanging fruit to complain
yeah,
about. Yeah.
to be like, what?
Which is-
Can we get English? Can we get a sub version?
Which is funny because it only points out how like ridiculously like dumb that is, right? Or it's
Right.
just like, how am I supposed to understand this other movie? I'm supposed to read? And it's like,
Right.
I'm sorry, is that too much for you to read 2 sentences like
At a time.
every 10 seconds?
Right.
Like that's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so good.
I was blown away by that. I think the melding of the languages was awesome. And again, going back to a character, Simi's character, Shang-Chi is bilingual, and that was like stated from the beginning.
Mhm.
A lot of the characters are bilingual. Awkwafina's character is, doesn't speak it, but understands it.
Mhm.
And then you have a character like Mandarin who
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I watched it the second time with 2 people who never watched Iron Man, what is that, 3 that he's
3?
in?
Yeah.
And so had no idea. They're like, why was he in that? Just to be the comedic relief. I'm like, oh, you don't know that he was the Mandarin. And those jokes hit a lot more hard if you do know the context. But if you don't know the context, they're just like, why the hell was he in the movie?
Yeah, because he explains it, but they don't show what it is he's explaining. So if they had, for viewers that haven't seen the rest of the earlier movies in the MCU, that could have been a scene they could have cut to of him being that role or something like that. But to be honest, I don't think it was necessary. But I do understand that point though, of like, who is this guy? Like,
yeah. If you were, that makes so much sense.
He was a strong enough comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
But I forget what my original reason why I brought it up was, but I think the melding of languages, going in and out from like people who understand the language, people who don't, people who partially understand the language, like that is so real, especially living in a country that has a lot of different types of folks, and like most countries are now that way.
Yeah,
there aren't that many very homogenous.
I mean, I think the best way to even show that though was at the very end when his sister was holding on to his sister, and she's speaking to him in Mandarin.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go. He speaks to her in English. So it was, that scene was like an example of like, she's stayed in China. She didn't really leave. She stayed there. So her main language is Mandarin. So I thought that was really cool of like, I was like, oh, this is fire. Like, I thought that was a cool, just showing like, yeah, we're siblings, but we aren't the same. We don't approach the same scenario the same way. We don't speak the same language by default. He's been in the States for 10 years. So I like that. He didn't just go right into Mandarin with her, or what is it, Mandarin that they're speaking, or is it another dialect?
I think it's Mandarin. I don't think it's Cantonese.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's Mandarin.
I mean, the most dominant is Mandarin, right? Like for Chinese language, I think that's the most dominant. So
I'm not gonna lie, one of the most exciting parts for me was it happened at the beginning and it happened at the end of the movie. So the Kamehameha-esque scene, I was hyped. I don't think you guys like, people that know me, I'm a huge DBZ fan. Like, that's my favorite anime of all time. And when the mom did it the first time, I was like, is she about to do a Kamehameha? And then later, when Sean does it, I was like, yo, he's about to do a Kamehameha. And then Awkwafina references it.
Yes.
Later, I was like, look, bro,
genius.
But because we've talked about this at length on multiple different podcasts. Could live action anime work? And this has proven to me that we are ready for something like this. Like, going into the mythical side of things, the CG in this movie was incredible with it. Even the fight sequences when he was fighting his dad, the impacts felt anime as hell. Like when when he got the rings, hit his son in the stomach, added it, and then hit him again, and he hit the water and it split. I was like, dude, this is anime as shit right now.
Bro.
When he would land and the ground would go, like, I was like, oh my God.
All of it. The takeoffs.
It looked good.
The takeoff, right.
Looked good.
I was like, I was like, we're ready for DBZ live action. I don't know if we do different stories and not the main, I did a video on this last night, but I don't want a rehash of any of the sagas. Just put us in the DBZ world, new character, maybe 200 years down the future, you're a descendant of whoever, and do something like that. But visually, technically, we're there.
Yes. Yeah.
We're there. Like, even his outfit had, like, the armor stuff. I was like, yo, they could do Saiyan armor very similar to stuff like that. Like, I was like, we're here. We're there. Like, graphically, we're there. Technologically, we're there. We just need good story. And I think Disney has the money to hire the right writers, find the right fans of the properties to really create something special. But this movie proved to me that we are ready for live action anime in some capacity. Because those fight sequences felt anime as fuck.
And then we can forget all of the live action animes
that
we've ever come across. Maybe except for Kenshin. That's the only one that we'll keep.
Oof. Bruh. I just watched the joints on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
The beginning and the ending.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The fight choreo on that is so good.
So fucking amazing.
I started watching the first one, but then I had to leave for a meeting. So I was like, damn it. So I haven't finished it. But just in the stuff that I saw, I was like,
the sword play is ridiculous.
But I feel like that's a very simple adaptation would be Rurouni Kenshin. Like it's a really
it's humans.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
Correct. So I was like, oh, people. This is actually a really good trial of a live action adaptation of an anime for sure. Yeah. But because like even in this movie, like the back to the kaiju, I guess, the dragons, the nine-tailed fox. I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, just like all the mystical creatures, their staffs look like the Monkey King staffs. I was like, look, bro, it felt so good. It didn't feel cheesy at all.
Nah, not at all. When they first showed the dragon scales, and just the arm, everything, I was looking at the quality and I was like, yo,
so high.
The CGI quality is so damn high because I was like, I know them scales. Like they probably obviously made them up to look like scales, but they gotta edit the fuck out of those. And but the way it looked on camera, I was like, yo, that looks like if the dragons are real. I was like, they look like they got some big ass scales. Like,
you know what I always think about? You know how like right now, like scams are like kind of getting better these days. By the time that we're old, the way that we're gonna get scammed is gonna be insane with all the AI and the CGI is gonna be so good. The deep fakes, dude. We better be ready. We got to keep an eye on each other, man, when we're old. I'm like, bro, did you FaceTime me and ask me for like $3,000? I'm like, no, that was a deep fake. It's like, shit. I didn't get $3,000 to a stranger, dude. I thought it was you on FaceTime.
Facts. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That's facts. Yeah, that's actually facts.
No, CGI is getting so good. It's The mythical creatures are interesting because like, the people I was with, they're like, this is straight up Pokemon. I'm like, you understand Pokemon is like derivative of like mythical creatures, and mythological Japanese creatures are derivative of Chinese mythological creatures. You know, it all starts there. So yeah. Oh, it's Mahawk.
Oh, what up, guys?
Hey,
yeah, get out of here, guys. You guys are cheaters. Y'all haven't even seen the movie yet. Get out of here. I want to talk to y'all.
You're spoiling everything.
I literally talked to Mari last night about it, and I was like, I was waiting for the guy. She's like, yeah, they see it on Monday. I was like, yeah, jerks. I was like, I want to talk to somebody about it. I feel by myself. I was like, damn, nobody's seen it that I know yet. I'm like, it's driving me nuts.
I was looking at some comments.
So when we get to their spot, or what was their is it Talau? Is that how you say it? Talau. So when you get to Talau and Michelle Yeoh comes out, y'all understand. I was so hyped, bro. Like I was squeezing my seat. I was like, you know, like on the arm wrestle, I'm like, oh, like because like she was like, look, because obviously, what's his name was the older guy was like, look, man, y'all need to go somewhere. Take your car and get right.
So, yes.
And then when she comes out, she's like, look, bro, like this is family, like this, like. I was like, oh, we about to learn. Like, I love her energy. She just, every time she's on camera, like in any movie I've seen, like she steals the show every time she's on camera. She has so much charisma with not doing anything.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, she opens her mouth. You're like, okay, she about to teach you something. Like she just feels like you about to learn something. And then her sequence with Sean, when she was training him, and like even her, like she's like, open your hand, almost like you're fighting me with anger right now. Like open this shit up, bro. Like open it up. And I was like, and then she starts showing him the form. I was like, oh my bro, this is so tight. Beautiful. I was so hype.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. I think you're so right though. That is so nonverbal, like any of it, right? Like he's holding his fist so tight. And then that release, and then the other side releases. There's something so human about that.
The old man also, I was hyped about him too, because I watched him in Kung Fu Hustle. If you haven't seen Kung Fu Hustle,
did you see that there's a Kung Fu Hustle poster in his room?
Yes, and what? And there's actually
in Shang-Chi's room in San Francisco.
There's also
that's where that is.
There's also a Kung Fu Hustle at the end credits. I noticed that they have a credit. Kung Fu Hustle had a credit also as it was scrolling, and I was like, oh, dope. So I wonder if they used some of the same actors and stuff from back when, like even some of the stunt people probably. But Kung Fu Hustle, even though it's a comedic Kung Fu movie,
was tight, bro. That movie was tight.
Bro, and that's what the ring, because you know there's a dude in there that got rings on that shing, and he fights. It's almost a similar style. So that's what the rings originally reminded me of, was that style of Kung Fu. And but yeah, when I saw him, I was like, bro, that's the saucy old man from Kung Fu Hustle. I was like, this is dope, bro. Like, because he actually knows, you know, like it's all realistic, you know, martial arts actors, and that's why I think. I'm happy that the Western culture is finally, you know,
his line to Aquafina's character Katie when he's like,
don't die.
Don't die. Yeah. That was it. He looked at her real quick. He was like, chill, you ain't ready.
Right. You're not ready.
He looked at her and said, don't die.
The context of his like, I do care if you do. Don't die.
Right.
You know, I love that so much.
Just don't die, yeah. I mean, if that was crazy though. Her save at the end, I mean, you kind of saw it kind of building up, right? And it was like, okay, she's about to do this, but I didn't know how well it was gonna play out until she hit the actual monster with the arrow, and I was like, oh, she fucked him up with that. But then in my head, I was like, this is where continuity things come into play with the fighting, I guess. Is because, like, why didn't everybody just shoot a bunch of arrows at the monster to kill it, right? You know, obviously they found out the weak point was the throat a little later, but after they found out, like, why didn't she put out an APB? Everybody hit in the throat, or even when
it should have been in a book or something. You know, all those years, thousands of years.
Like where y'all sealed it away.
Library. I didn't see a library anywhere.
Right, y'all sealed it away. But y'all never found out its weakness? Like, wait, I'm confused. But then also, like, with, you know, Auntie pulling up, like, why didn't she max out these people with her air bending? Like, you know, why was she, like, just regularly fighting people? Like, why was she just like, flip, boom, you're done. All right, let me move. You know, like, little things like that, continuity fight-wise, you know, obviously they can't make her the star, right? They like, she's a part of the, you know, she's an extension of the main character, but obviously they couldn't make her the one that would. Because I'm thinking, like, if Ani had the powers, right, the same powers as Mom, like, why didn't Ani whoop up Pops too? You know, like, just thinking little things like that.
It's
you know,
also, like,
it wasn't her place, also, but
there's if you look too deep into it, it's also like, why didn't Daddy bring guns? You know, they brought crossbows with that tase people.
Right.
Like, they could have brought an AK and then it would have been done,
right.
you know?
Right.
Actually, yeah, a lot of it was
Facts.
very primitive. They definitely worked on the more primitive side of things, because even the fight when they went to the spot, they got the curled sword.
Oh yeah, they got the tasers. Yeah, they
Yeah,
like the tasers. Maybe they got a
and-
brand deal or something from like a taser company. They're exclusive with just tasers.
Facts.
I think that was that sequence though. And this is something that I was thinking about too. Was we only saw him, his dad fight two people in the movie that activated the rings to gold, and that was the mom and him.
Yes.
And in that, she was saying something along the lines of like, you have the heart of the dragon, blah blah. And we also see the dragon's eyes glow gold when they're on top of him and they're riding. So I wonder if there's something like when you have the heart of the dragon, like, are you actually a descendant of one of the mythical creatures, of one of the of a dragon? And if that is the case, maybe like this power, when she was like, oh yeah, I gave my power back. I wonder if it's almost like either proximity, like your strength grows the closer you are to the city,
Yeah,
or
true.
to whatever, or you know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's like a proximity thing. But I just thought that was interesting. Like, and even with the was it the grandma? I guess was that what Michelle Yeoh's character would be, or is that the sister?
Aunt.
Auntie.
That's the aunt.
That's yeah. So with her, it's like, all right, well, is there a limit to your thing? Because it's not like she was utilizing it that much. It was just in that one moment, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
it's like we don't really know much about it. I think the bigger thing for me now is what else is in that dimension, because they're like, yeah, we have cities and da da da. We've only seen this small village. So what I want to see the cities in this world, like in this dimension. How does that play out?
And yes, so one, we were saying that the power, yes, there is a connection with them being like direct descendants of the dragons or something like that. So there is.
And when you
something...
say they, it's also the sister, right? Like we're
Correct.
forgetting that
it's the
she
family.
also is.
Yes.
And we see that she's starting a whole complex. So where does that go?
Boy,
so
she's so sauce.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, no,
Wait,
no.
she sits at the end.
She just gets me hyped. She just has so much sauce.
Exactly, but you're right. Yes, exactly. It would go into more. It's their bloodline, right? So they would, and like you said, mom's left her powers to. So yes, she probably just in that realm, she probably left them and was like, all right, I'm moving on. But yes, it has something to do for sure with powers of that type of sort, and him being with the bloodline. That's why he was able to interact with the dragon, right away, and all that stuff. Because I'm wondering even if the dragon would have awakened if he wasn't there, type thing. Like I think about things like that, like because he fell in the water and then the dragon was like, "Oh, what up, homie?
What up, blood?"
Like you seem familiar. Like,
right.
Oh, snaps. Oh, I know your mom's.
Okay. Right, exactly.
Like, oh, okay, word. Like, let's get you popping.
Who is that? Is that Grandpa?
Right.
Like, right. But I mean, yes, that for sure. And going down the sister's bloodline, that all that's gonna come into play, I think, way later. But the cities, yes, the cities with them saying, she said they were like way far in advance,
right?
Like, so I'm gonna say we're gonna have like an Asian version of Wakanda, but just
They have Wi-Fi over there?
Yeah, in their own route.
What's up with that? They have Google?
I thought of that being a matchup, like them versus Wakandans. Oof. Of like warrior-wise, just on respect. Like if right. I'm thinking of future movies of like, if they do like those two worlds colliding, like, and they're helping each other. But then you have that respectful fight scene of like them whooping each other's asses real quick and then being like, oh, okay, y'all cool. Like, y'all cool too. It was like, all right, cool. Let's go. Like, I'm just thinking of like, I just think that would be so fire. Cause they have ancient martial arts compared to like the Wakandans' own built martial arts that they created, right. And but they've also had that for hundreds of years as well, their own styles. So that's why I'm just like, yeah, this is dope. But it reminded me of that. It reminded me of the Asian version of like Wakanda when she started speaking of that. Like, yeah, we got advanced cities, buildings everywhere. And I was like, oh, but yes, something else to look forward to with this, because
I like
that
how you're
sounds
so
hype.
mysterious around it. You're like, coming soon.
So,
wink, 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 wink.
Straw Hat says something in the chat that I think me and you kind of briefly talked about, Tosh, when I called you. He said, is Kunlun one of those cities? And I had said, I was like, I wonder if they're going to revamp Iron Fist and like redo that.
Oh, fuck.
Stop it. Stop. Fucking Danny Rand.
Danny Rand.
I know it's this. Is it goalposts? Oh,
Goalposts.
L for love. So,
Ooh.
yeah, that would be interesting because like you're in this, because Kunlun is in like a mythical dimension as well. So it's like, I wonder if maybe that dimension is the same dimension that they're in. Who knows? But I don't know. I just felt like how they delivered the mythical stuff at the end, how they planted seeds through the movie as well about it. Like, so you heard the stories and he's like, I thought it was just fairy tale. I didn't know this was actually a thing. Like, I thought it was just a story that my mom would tell me. Like, so, it's almost like that, kind of what they were saying. Like the mom was like, oh, that's a Western idea or American ideology. She's like, well, Mom, you're American too. Like, it's like you've been so far removed from your culture to where some things may or may not be real to you. Right. Or like, oh, well, she was telling me some stories and it was probably just whatever. I didn't know there was real dragons. And so I like the fact that they did that without it being corny. The CG fights were crazy. The end fight sequence was crazy. But I think one of my favorite scenes though was actually at the end, was them talking about, like it was the repeat scene of them sitting with their friend at the bar.
Yes. And telling their journey.
I love the scene because it was just like, it was the level up, right? It was like, they were there before. Their friend was like, you two are the most talented people I know that are doing nothing with it, right? And it was one of those things, even for me, like I have friends or family members that get under my skin like that I'm like, man, this person is so talented if they were to just do this. But it's like, it's at that point of like, you can't push somebody. You can't, like, you could want something for somebody so much, but they have to do it. Like at a certain point, you just kind of have to be like, well, like, it's frustrating, but I can't push you. I can't make you do something. So, and I love the fact that they sat down, had that conversation, and then she's like, look, I know you're, like, all right, you're making fun of me. I get it. Like, all right, cool. Like, I love that sequence.
Yes.
Shang-Chi, he goes, present
here. Yeah, I was like, what? But how do you respond, like how do you respond to that situation?
The fact that Wong goes something like along the lines of like, from this moment on, the trajectory of your life is going to be completely different.
Yeah, that was a double entendre,
right?
Yes,
that is
that was a
parallel to their IRL lives. Because
exactly.
Yeah,
I got chills just right now from that. Like when he said that, I was like, yo, he's literally speaking real life facts to you right now.
Yeah,
your whole shit is about to change. Like,
everything.
I felt so welcome to the circus too. That got me too.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Oh. It's like, yeah,
because
they're in.
It's official. Yeah. That's that official stamp. You are part of the new team.
Right.
Whatever it is, and y'all about to get real crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it also was really important that it came from Bruce Banner as well, because he's like he's an OG. He's like
OG.
He's been there since Avengers. He's the original. If it wasn't going to be Tony Stark, it was going to be him. As opposed to Doctor Strange.
Right.
Like, it makes sense that Doctor Strange would be there in that room, but he's also, I would say, newer in the MCU.
Right.
So I think it was really cool that Bruce Banner was the one.
Yeah, I think that was the thing too. That scene. There was so much going on because the last time we saw Bruce was actually in Infinity War. We didn't see Bruce at all in Endgame. So,
oh yeah, he was always Hulk, huh?
Right. So this is the first time we've seen him back. He had a sling on, I'm assuming because his arm is still jacked from the snap. So I was like, okay. So he had a sling on. You had Captain Marvel. She has long hair again. She doesn't have her short hair. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. She had a dip. She's like, yo, I gotta go handle. I'm like, what's going on? Like, so I'm thinking like, what's going on right now? Like, what's actually, where does this take place in the timeline of the MCU right now?
I love that he's like, she always does that.
Yeah, like, oh, you get my number for Bruce. Like, I ain't got her number, bro. I don't have her number. Bro.
That was so funny. Yeah. He's like, I don't even know how to contact her, but hey.
Like, I don't have her number.
Hey.
So good.
But yeah, that, like you said, this new force or team that they're putting together for the future movies, this is gonna, like, you could just see it building, and this is like the just the jump off. This is it. This is kicking off this next arc of craziness, and they did it so damn well.
Yeah, bro.
Like if I would just start from here, like if you just think about like restarting everything and it's just starting from here, this the new arc of the city. Like this is a great way to begin this new journey.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it's fire. It's super fire. I'm excited to see what they got in store. I mean, obviously we know one of the main big bads is gonna be that guy, Kang. But we'll see, man. The multiverse is this is the tip of the multiverse of this MCU, and I'm kind of really, it should just get me hype. It just get me more and more hype. I just want the next thing to pop off already. What is next?
What is next?
What if?
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
I wonder if you had similar feelings watching Black Panther specifically, but like I don't know what it is about watching a film like this that has your culture writing on it as well, where you almost feel like this added extra weight.
Yeah.
While you watch it, of like, God, I hope people around me like it. Like,
like
as if like you're part of it, or as if it's like watching like your, I don't know, like
it's like it represents
project come to life. Yeah. And like I was trying to explain this to Peter last night of like, I'm like, I don't think you've ever felt this way, Pete. Like, like I don't know if you have, but like I feel like there's so much of like, God, I hope other people like it as much as I do. Because
almost like it's
what it means.
Well, it's almost like you almost feel like, do I like it? Is it because of a bias for me at the moment? Because I relate to it. So I have that feeling more here than I think I would have had in the States, because people here don't understand Black America culture. Right. So people here that are Black that are here are from Africa. Like they come from Africa to here. And they've known their culture coming here, as opposed to Black Americans. So in Black Panther, it was very like, that was a very Black American story, right? And seeing our people not be slaves or the help in a movie, and showing us as powerful, as intelligent, as you know what I'm saying, like as a superhero. That was you can't put a number to how that made our community feel, right? So much so when Chadwick Boseman died, he had a body of work prior to Black Panther, an amazing body of work before Black Panther. But when he died, everybody was talking about Wakanda Forever, Black, like that was, it's because of what that movie meant. It wasn't, it was painting a visual picture of what we made or what we want to see ourselves as, not what everybody has made us look like. You know what I'm saying? So I think in this regard, I think for me, I had that same feeling of, you know, even though my culture, Asian culture, is Filipino, I grew up around a lot of Asians, you know, and obviously some of the Philippine culture has some of those, you know, Eastern ideas as well. But like, even still, like it felt like it meant more than just hiya. You know, like it was like, no, you know what I mean? Like it didn't feel appropriated. It felt authentic. It felt like, oh, we're really trying to make a real statement with this. So yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I feel that when, like you're saying, Black Panther came out, everybody, Wakanda Forever, everybody's doing this.
Bruh, facts.
Shang-Chi, they didn't have any specific hand gestures or anything for the Asian community. But if there was, guarantee you, I bet you would have been popping right now for sure. Like, because I feel like that, like you're saying, that same sense of pride that Black people had. Like I could feel it with this as well from the Asian community, just from what I'm seeing online, you know? And I'm like, okay, everybody that's Asian is proud of this film right now, and they're fucking with it, and they're hype. Even just coming out the theater, the energy of there was a lot of Asian people at the movie, but is just coming out, and obviously we had the extra hype movie premiere for who was there, but still the energy there was like, wow, like it gives everyone that, like you said, that sense of pride and to something to be proud in of their culture, especially in entertainment, because social media nowadays is so negative, there's not many positives to look forward to online. And something like this, hits, like you were saying, it hits for you, it hits for the Asian community, and Black Panther for sure did that for the Black community. And same feeling, same vibe, different culture. They nailed it. Yeah, fire.
Yeah.
Fire. Oh.
Whew. I'm glad I'm not alone feeling that way, man, because I was just like, I don't know what this weight is, but I'm just like, don't let it flop.
Oh, trust me,
that don't let it flop.
Look, ever since I watched it, I've been like looking on the internet. Just there's a sense of validation that it's not that you care how other people feel, but you want other people to feel good about it. Yeah, you're like there's no perfect movie out there, right? There's gonna be things you like, things you don't, whatever. But you're like, I really hope that the reception is more positive, right? Because not everybody's gonna think it's the best movie ever, right? And that's fine. But you want people to feel like we want to see more of stuff like this. So much so that in Endgame here in Australia, when Black Panther is the first person to walk out, the crowd went fucking ballistic. Nice. In Australia.
Nice.
So I was like, I was super excited. I was like, oh my God. Like, but for that type of thing to resonate with people that aren't of that culture, to be like, no, he's one of them ones. Like, yeah, he tight. That's exciting. Like, that makes you feel like, okay, like mission accomplished. Right? Like, people actually fuck with this character, not on some social justice vibes, but they actually fuck with it. And I think that's, for me anyways, do people like it, or are they just hype right now because of the moment? Like, and I think that's where I'm at with it. Like, I want people to really see, like, this movie has layers and layers. So
I agree with that. Because even Black Panther, like, I knew it was a Black superhero, but to be honest, I wasn't super into Black Panther, right? But when obviously the movie dropped, it made you like the character itself. Like, oh, snaps. Like, it's not just a Black superhero. Like, this is a dope superhero at the same time. So with Shang-Chi, same situation. I was like, I know of him, but I don't really pay him no mind. Like, he's a cool superhero, whatever. But then I saw the movie and I'm like, oh, now I really like this character, you know? And now I'm like, okay, I fucks with Shang-Chi now, and I want to see, now I'm excited to see his future, rather than just being like, oh, it was just some character that I seen him pop up in a few stories and I didn't really follow him, like, nah, like now I'm like interested and can't wait to see the next step. Like, now I'm like, okay, in my head, I'm like, should I go read up on Shang-Chi? Like, should I go read something? Like, because his character is, everything seems like there's so much more depth now, especially after the post-credit scene of what's going on with his powers in that realm. And I'm like, what else is there to this guy?
Hold on. We have to talk about this real quick.
Who
do you think the beacon is? What do you think the beacon is actually calling from? Like, who is it calling to?
Shenron.
Get the fuck out of here.
Nah.
Get the.
He's gonna collect the Dragon Balls after this.
Dragon to dragon. It's just a dragon pager.
It's a dragon pager. One dragon was in distress and they called another one. Like, yo, pull up. Like, that's what's about to happen.
Get out of here.
Imagine a giant dragon
They're
pulls
just
up.
drug dealers.
Nah, but
my god.
it's yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. There's a lot of theories out there that instantly when I first saw it, I thought Eternals.
Yeah,
Just
that's what
because
I thought
of
too.
the he put a timestamp on it. He was like, well, how long has your pops had it? He was like 1,000 years, and he's like, well, this is way older than that.
Yeah.
And obviously we know the Eternals have been there for thousands and thousands of years also. So that's but then also are these from Earth or are these from another realm?
I think
Are
they might
these
be
from
I wonder if they're from like the realm of Talo. Is it
that's what
Talo?
I'm saying.
Hello.
Talo, yeah. But I don't know where they're from. So that's where it's hard to place them. It's like if it's from Earth, then maybe it could be somewhere that are universal, powers that they're probably beaconing. So it could be like maybe a stronger. They seem good, right? They seem like they're used for good. So we really don't know if they were actually meant for good. But they could be ancient. They could even be ancient enough on some Asgardian technology. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't know. They just know that they've never seen languages like that ever.
Right.
And we just know it's old. And that's where it makes it so broad that it's so hard to pinpoint it. And I think that's perfect for the viewers because that's what we're doing now. We're trying to figure it out. Right. And when they reveal it, it's probably gonna fuck us all up. We're gonna be like, oh, that's crazy. But I hope it does. Because if it was just simple as, oh, that was the Eternal Beacon, then y'all tried it.
I like the parallel that all this time his father had it for 1,000 years and never really saw the true potential of it because he was at the top of it. He was never like around people who were smarter than him who could figure out what to do with it more. And now within a few minutes of being around Wong and the technology that they have, they already see that it's like you can expand into it and there's so much more. And it's like the potential of it has not even been tapped at this point.
Facts.
I mean, even at that, like even
gotta
the
keep
power,
good people around you.
Right. I mean, even power wise, like, Shang was able to utilize it in ways because of the dragon inside of him.
Yes.
He was able to utilize it in ways that his dad couldn't utilize it.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's dope right off top. So it's like, but yeah, I'm like, I want to go back because that orb that showed like the beacon, it seemed like it was of the Earth. Okay. And the dot was like that's what it looked like. So I'm like, all right, I just there's no screen grabs of it right now. So I'm like, do I watch it again and try to take some snapshots? I don't know. Right. Copyright infringement. But I'm trying to think of like,
you're like, sir, like I just want to know if it's Earth or not.
But like I know, so I'm like, is there like, is it a map? Because like there was like things coming out of it, almost like it was like connected to things on the circle. So I'm like, I wonder if those are like locations on the planet. So I'm
all
just
the Men in Black aliens are gonna show up.
Facts. Facts.
We'll let you guys know there's another organization. Men in Black. What?
So like I don't know what it's alluding to, but the only thing we have ancient wise that we know of so far is literally from the Eternals trailer because they said they've been there for like 7,000 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's the oldest thing that we've heard of so far in the MCU was Eternals.
It would be a good connect. That would be a connect that would make the most sense.
Right. Like maybe it's some kind of deviant power or like some kind of I don't know.
Low-key. I want it to be something more now, like as in like everything's going to happen without us knowing what that's about. And it's going to set up like a whole nother arc of something crazy, like it's a whole nother villain or a whole nother antagonist, like somebody different, completely different that we're not. I just don't want to expect it. That's all. I'm just I'm big on not expecting things, and
I just don't left field. I'm like,
oh snap! You were really beaconing for this person, or maybe it's not a home. Maybe they think it's a beacon for a call, but maybe it wasn't a beacon. Maybe it was, an awakening, and it awakened other, more. There's more rings around the universe. That maybe it's not just his only 10 rings. Maybe there's other people that have other rings, like on some Green Lantern type thing. Like, I don't know. I want it to be something completely different. That's what I'm hoping that happens. Like, because it's just a hint, you know. Like they give us a quick little hint to hold on to. Like, just put that in the back of y'all minds for now, and we'll see what happens later. But
do you think we're gonna get a 10-ring show?
I hope so. I hope we get a spinoff, The 10 Rings, and it's a Disney Plus series.
I'd watch it.
What?
I would watch it. 10 hours of 10 hours of 10 rings.
10 hours of 10 rings.
10 hours, 10 of 10.
10 of 10. Here's a question for you. Who are you excited to see Shang-Chi characters either fight with or fight alongside with or interact with in the existing MCU? I want to see. Yeah. I got my answer already. I want to see Awkwafina's character, Katie, completely destroy Star-Lord and Thor.
Ooh, interesting.
Like, not destroy, just like with words. I just want her to tear them apart and then be like, what the just happened?
Interaction-wise, Guardians would be fire for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I already said
so fish out of water. She's so fish out of water. So like, her reactions would be amazing. You know what I mean? Like, they'd be amazing.
Her interactions with her interactions with Guardians, I think, would be fire for sure. She keeps it a buck. I think all of that interaction, even with like fucking what's his name, Bautista, Drax, and everybody, and like her. Like all exactly, like he's just so lug-headed and but I think she's gonna fuck with him at the same time. Like, oh, you just a big, you know, like positive. You're right. Yeah, exactly. Like that.
That'd be fun to write for. Jeez.
Oh yeah. I don't know who I would want. That one's so tough because we haven't really seen. Damn, I don't know. That one's so tough because I'm like, who would personality-wise be a really cool thing outside of like, you know, Shang being with somebody else? And I'm like, I mean, it could be Doctor Strange, but I'm like, I feel like Doctor Strange is too like, I don't know if he's the right guy. But then I'm like,
too mystical.
He's too mystical, right? Yeah. So I'm like,
danger.
I think Spider-Man could be interesting, but it wouldn't be my first pick. Honestly, my first pick would be somebody that's no longer there. I would actually want to see him with Cap. I
thought the same thing.
But he's not there. Yeah, so I'm like, damn. So that would be the first person that I thought of was like, but he's no longer there. I don't know. I think that's the interesting part now is like, okay, how does he fit in with the rest of the team? Yeah. What's that dynamic going to be like? And, you know, I think once we get more of the Eternals, I think Shang-Chi will fit better in the current lineup. Because if you guys haven't noticed, like the power scaling has just cliffed like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So Wanda is on some unlimited shit. Yeah. Doctor Strange is probably going to be on that level as well. Eternals are now here. They're going to be on, like, the cliff just went crazy.
Hard to be Hawkeye at this point.
Hard.
Yes. Street level heroes and villains really don't fit in this world anymore. It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, right? It's tough. Like, it's really tough.
And I think that was a point in this movie as well, because the threat that they were against was a creature they couldn't kill, essentially, right? And they had to seal it away. But it was a creature that would steal souls, and the more souls it stole, it became a larger and larger threat.
I love a life steal character.
Right? Yeah.
My favorite type to play.
So this is based off of an actual character in the Marvel series who it wouldn't steal souls, it would steal people's fear. It would feed off of fear rather than souls. So
they just day in 2021.
So they just switched it up. Right. They just switched it up. There's like, instead of this creature, but this creature is actually, so when it does steal all the fear or souls of people, it becomes like a Dormammu threat. Like that's how big of a threat this creature could have been if it escaped. If it would have ate the entire planet of souls, it would have became that level of threat, like Dormammu level, where it's.
That's the dude from Doctor Strange, right? That's the dude that he was.
Dormammu was the big dude. Yeah. The big dude. He did the reverse, the time over and over. Yeah, like immortal, crazy.
Made him into a GIF.
Right.
Right.
Facts.
Right. Facts. Yes.
Don't live in a GIF.
But that's the threat level we were facing. So essentially, Shang and them just fought a Dormammu level threat.
That could have got to that level. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like we're saying, power scaling. We're thinking about it, like, they're leveling up the power scaling a lot, because like if it would have escaped that realm, the only people that would have probably been able to defeat it would be a Doctor Strange or a Wanda or maybe a Captain.
So where is Shang-Chi then? Like, is he A tier? Is he S tier? Like, where?
That's what I don't know. We just gotta.
Yeah, we're so ambiguous right now because we don't have a threat yet that we've seen other characters go up against. And because this was kind of confined to this realm, we don't know how it could have impacted the world. So it's really hard to scale it. Yeah. But we do know he's like tip of the iceberg of his power right now. Like he just got the rings. He just tapped into his, like, I guess, dragon essence. I don't know what you want to call it. But so he's still like level 1 for himself. Like he ain't even went Kaioken yet. So you're like, all right, well, I don't know.
I just thought of something fun. I wonder if he can make his rings go on like Hulk's fists and Hulk smash or with the rings on, and then he can get the rings back on. That would
just like transfer the power temporarily. Like, hey, yo, borrow these. Yeah. Real quick. That would be stupid. Put it on to other
people. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be crazy though. But we have it like you're saying though. I feel like we just tapped into his powers, and you saw him. He leveled up from Pops. So this is the entrance level him. And when he becomes that, experienced, trained, like I think anything is possible with the rings for sure. Like I even like universal travel, like he might be able to just fly into outer space with them things and go somewhere because he'll have it protecting him type stuff. And honestly, also on like some Green Lantern, like to be honest, but
can't get through airport security though. Them rings.
Nah, you gotta check them.
Can't do that.
Hey, what's up? You gotta check those in play. You have to put those under.
So, are we gonna start calling bracelets rings from now on? I just want to know from me because I don't know if I can call my bracelets rings now.
Why not? Things change all the time.
Mario, you're like, I'm Mario of the 5 rings.
I got 5 rings on. Hey, my forearm heavy as hell right now. So I want to take this back real quick because like there's something you brought up earlier in regards to Sean and Katie's relationship, and I'm actually glad that there was no definitive, because he made it apparent that they're friends up front. You know what I'm saying? Like we're just friends, and I feel like they could have easily tried to make this that. Something happened to Katie. He's like, no, not Katie. Like, they could have easily tried to do that, but they're like, you know what? Let's let them go on this journey of finding themselves first.
Yeah.
Ooh, not tie in a relationship that doesn't need to be there yet. Like, let's figure out who we are first. And I loved that we didn't have any like shipping yet. Like, let us earn it. You know what I'm saying? Let the characters really feel that. So I'm actually glad that they did it. And even at the end when he walks, he kind of, here's the arm and they kind of walk through. But you could tell that they care about each other. But it's uncertain where that care lies. Like, is it just friends? Is it more than that? And I like that we're going into their future with that ambiguity. I like that so far. But that's just my personal take. But how do you guys feel about it?
I completely agree.
Yeah, agree.
I think being able to see friendships without the thought of it has to be more is so wonderful to see because you don't see it often enough. And I think we saw it a little bit with Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Right.
And that, I don't know, there's something about truly caring for somebody without having to have to cross that line that's wonderful and beautiful. And like, I always go back to Frodo and Sam in Lord of the Rings, of like how beautiful it is to see a friendship between two male characters, and it is that, and you feel and see the love between the two people without it crossing a line where it's just like, no, they're friends forever and ever through all the realms possible. And it's like, I don't know, it's the relationship, I think, is more reflective of like 2021 friendships, you know, maybe not in 1960, but like nowadays, I think there are plenty of friendships where you feel so much love for another person, and it is just that, you know. And I love that they kept it there.
Yeah, I agree that, like you said, not pushing that narrative, not making it a love story. You know, the love story was really about pops and moms, not Shang and his. So that's why, you know, usually that's like a film normal, right? They usually have to have a love interest and have something of the sort that they're fighting for. But essentially, it was more family than everything else. But yeah, like you said, it's open for anything in the future. I don't mind whatever happens with them in the future. Like, besides splitting up, you know, them not being friends anymore, I'm fine with everything else happening. Like, either way, their relationship is dope, and they portrayed that so well. And yeah, like I said, I could see that come back around where he ends up. They could be dating other people, you know, and still be the best friends that they are now, with no issues, no drama, and even their significant others understands their relationship, you know. And or you said they might come back around in the future and end up being like, you know what, you the only one for me, you know. And we might as well do this, like, you know, regardless, either way, it's gonna make me happy. So
almost like like a Iron Man Pepper Potts.
Exactly. That's the
like,
exact same
took
relationship.
some time for that to really develop, and him really coming to this idea of like, it's always been you. Like, you've always been there type of thing. Like, and so I liked that a lot with their relationship. It didn't feel like, oh, well, Pepper's he's a new girlfriend. Like, that's a new girlfriend. Cool. Like, yeah, for sure. But last words. What do you guys? I guess rating. What would you rate this movie out of 10 before we wrap? 1 out of 10, Tosh, what are you rating Shang-Chi?
I honestly am giving it a 9.5.
Okay.
It was high on the scale. It was high on my scale, especially for martial arts films, you know, and then the Marvel part of it amplified it all, and I'm giving this a high rate. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Yeah, I like I said, little tiny things here and there, but it wasn't too crazy for me to knock points or off, you know, like, nah, like you watch this, regardless if you're pedestrian watching or you're like a super fan, you're gonna enjoy this movie a lot. And yeah, it's super high rating for me, 9.5. That's it.
9.5. Toshi with the 9.5. Chat, what y'all feel about that? Mari, what's yours? What's your rating, Brad?
Heck yeah. I'm gonna not do half points.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a solid 9. I'll say the two things that was missing for me.
Okay.
A solid soundtrack for Shang-Chi. I think that Katie got a very strong song, which was Hotel California, but there was nothing that tied me song-wise. And maybe it could be that other MCU movies have ruined it for me. Like, I like Iron Man had a very clear song for me. With him being in like the Mark suit and stuff like that. Guardians, obviously, Avengers. So that was missing for me. Like, I noticed he had an Outcast poster on his in his bedroom. Like I would have loved to have that for it to come back, or like San Francisco hip hop, right? Like the stuff that Bay is Area very very specific to Bay Area stuff. Yeah, and so that was missing for me. And then on the second watch through, there's some pacing problem, but I still can't figure it out. Maybe I'll figure it out on watch number 3. But it's something about the second act, getting into the third act. But those are the only ones.
9, solid 9 with Mari, man.
Solid 9.
So I watched it twice. I watched it yesterday. Me and Mari are literally leaving the theater at the same time, like just in different time zones. Bro. So she was like, I just got out, and I literally sent her the credits as they're rolling. So after my second viewing, mine is exactly what I gave it the first time, which is a 9. And I didn't think about the song until you just said it. And I think that is something that sticks with the character, right? I think, to be fair, there's only a couple characters in MCU that I'm like, ooh, yes. And I think DC has a really good one with like Superman and Wonder Woman. Their 2 songs are just like, oh, right? So I do agree with you. And then fucking Superman's fucking music is amazing. But I just, there was something about this movie when it came to the story that I did not know I was going to love so much. I love a good father-son story or father-kid story. Like, my dad is like one of my heroes. So like for me, like I like when movies I relate to those types of stories, right? Father approval, that type of thing. Father doing what, sacrificing himself for his kids ultimately. Those types of stories, for whatever reason, I just gravitate to. So I loved it, and it didn't feel cheesy, and I was so nervous about it feeling cheesy. I was like, I don't know. A lot of Western stuff, a lot of Eastern imagery coming to the West. Sometimes it translates cheesy. Live action anime has shown that it just doesn't translate the way that people think it's going to. And I'm like, and I was so excited about it. Best fighting sequences in the MCU, period.
Hands down.
Yes. It's not even a debate. It's by far the best. And so I gave it a 9. I gave it a 9 my first watch through, and after the second one, it just solidified. I was like, yep, this is a 9 for me. Like it feels good, because sometimes we were saying before, like sometimes you get excited and you're like, maybe it's just because I'm so excited that it was so good that I'm scoring it a little higher than what I would usually score it. But no, I think it deserves the 9 for me. Great. And to be honest, if you guys haven't listened to the soundtrack fucking smacks. The soundtrack, it's on the same level as Black Panther soundtrack. The soundtrack smacks. I was like, yo, this soundtrack is fire.
When it dropped, it was that Anderson .Paak at the end.
Yes.
And I was like, and I was like, ooh, they got Anderson on this day. But that the soundtrack for sure.
Yeah, soundtrack is super fire. But guys, thank you guys so much, man, for stopping by. Shouts out to Mari and Tosh for taking some time and being nerds with me. I was just begging for a conversation. I was like, I need to talk to somebody about this movie. It's driving me fucking nuts. And I couldn't wait for Ismahawk to watch it on Monday. I'm like, you guys are jerks. So I appreciate you guys doing this for me, because it's really what it was about. I was like, I need to talk to somebody so bad.
That was great. It was fun.
Mari, anything coming up in your world before we wrap? Anything you want to let people know what's going on?
Big announcement at the end of the month, including a charity live stream at the end of the month as well. So just those 2 things. It'll be the week of the 20th.
Week of the 20th.
Fire.
Yeah, big things happen in the week of the 20th.
Oh my God. Yes. Tell us, what about you, bruh?
I mean, you know me, man. I'm on that stream life, and just my industry. Anything pops up. Literally, something could pop up today, and I could be doing something tomorrow. Like literally, like
facts.
I could get a message. I could get an email right now, like, you available tomorrow, dude. So I mean, for my life, it's a little hectic, but I just linked with a homie who's he's actually a stunt guy.
Okay, what a stunt guy.
And he's and there's something upcoming that's looking for um some stuntmen,
Stunt neck.
specifically that could swim too. Specifically black people that could swim.
Ooh.
So so there's a definitely a and it's a Marvel film. So that's why I'm kind of excited to see.
You gonna be?
I mean, like I said,
you gonna be
I just got
Aquaneck?
over.
Is that what you about to be? You about to be the new
Yeah,
superhero, Aquaneck?
Yeah, nah. I'll be on the stunt team, so I'll probably get my ass kicked underwater or something. But
Right.
well, but we'll see what happens. But it's gonna be that's just something like
Right.
that I'm testing the waters now that I'm fully I'm 6 months officially. On the 8th will be my 6 months post surgery. Yeah,
And
so
he just came back with a vengeance.
I mean, yeah, exactly. 6 months, and I'm already about to get real crazy with it. So my doctor's like, all right, 6 months is here, so you can start getting a little more, So now I can really go in back to like what I was usually doing.
Right.
So now I gotta hit the gym, get my flip time in, my kicks and flips in.
Let's go.
And
Nice.
yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Yes,
For
sir.
sure. If you guys want to catch Toshi stranded on a raft, the new Jason Derulo video just dropped.
You're right.
And
The new
you'll see
Jason
him
Derulo
stranded in the ocean.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, not being
Call my
stranded,
mama.
you know?
I was dying.
You can see the BTS. You can see the BTS. I did a quick little reel on my IG with the BTS on how we really filmed it in this pool at his crib. But they put the blue screen back there and made it and did it all up. But it actually turned out really well. The video actually turned out way better than what it was played out in originally how it went versus
That's the movie magic though, right?
It is, yeah. Like very hectic on set, but then obviously you see the product later and you're like, oh wow, like damn, that turned out really well. So yeah, it's pretty funny, but yes, you can check that out. Acapulco by Jason Derulo, brand new music video just dropped.
Yep.
I'm in there somewhere. You won't notice me.
You'll notice the neck though. You'll know that. You spot that neck from anywhere. All right, guys.
Yeah,
well, appreciate you guys for stopping by, man. We will be back tomorrow with the regular scheduled programming with reactions. But other than that, guys, catch you guys in the next one. We out this day.
Bye.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.